everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Florence. I hope you remember me. It's been quite some time since I was last here. There's just been a lot going on. If you want to know what I've been up to, I will link a podcast episode that I just recently posted, which is like my media life update. Just updating you on where I have been and what I've been up to and where I am physically, mentally. But it feels good. I felt good, and I decided to come back and just post another video. I hope everyone is fine. I'm doing fine. If you want to keep up with me, please follow me and the podcast on our social media. I share a bit more there. Daily, what I do daily, but it's just nice to be back here. So today, there's a tag that I've been seeing going on, and I thought, let me jump onto the bandwagon. It's called the Media Book Freak Out tag. I was a bit not so sure about the freak out because I didn't know what exactly that meant. But after watching a few videos, which I will link a few videos that I watch and I really love, I thought, let me give it a try. So it's basically just about what the books that I've read in the past half year. We are now in July, which means we are halfway done with the year. And let me just share with you and share also with myself, remind myself all the books that I've read or some of the books that I have read in the first half of the year. So the first question, I have my notes here. The first question is, best book you've read in 2024, or let's say half of so far, 2024 so far. So I couldn't pick out only one book because I've read a couple of really, really 5-star books, and I have them here. I'll try and share the physical books that I have, but some have also been borrowed and some were from the library, so I'll just share what I have. So one of the books that I loved and enjoyed reading, one of the best books is So Long a Letter by Mariama Bâ, and this is a book. She's a writer, or she was a writer. She's Senegalese. She was Senegalese, and this book I bought it, or people told me to get it when I shared that I was going to Dakar, and this book is life-changing. I wish that everyone could read it. It's a book that I would recommend to everyone, especially young women. And another book that I really loved, another 5-star, is Black Girl Call Home, a collection of poems by Jasmine Mahn. I did a review on this, so you can watch it. But it's also a book that I feel especially as a Black woman, every Black woman should read it. Then the other book that I read that also really made an impact on me, which I'm late to, is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. I read this year, and I now understand people's obsession with the book. So those are like the best books of 2024 so far for me. The next question is the best sequel that you have read so far. I'm not much of a sequel or series person, so I think I will just share a book that I read that are written, that are a bit connected to each other, which are by the same author, and that is Lucy and Annie John by Jamaica Kincaid. I think I've written reviews on these on my Goodreads, so you can go over and read that. And also on TikTok, I've also done reviews on them. And I feel like I first read Annie John, and Annie John ends where Annie John moves from Antigua to the UK to go and study, to become a nurse. And then Lucy starts where Lucy moves from Antigua to the US to become an au pair. So for me, I felt like it was the same. They're the same girl because the characters were almost the same. It's just that one moved to a different country. So for me, this would be the best sequel that I've read this year so far. A new release you haven't read, but you want to. That, I don't know if it's a new release, but to me, I think to us in Germany, this is a new release. This is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I think everyone has seen this book. The cover is more monumental. And I just realized that it was a Reese Witherspoon's book club pick, and that's maybe one of the reasons why it is so big. But it's a bestseller, New York Times bestseller. So this is a book that I want to read. I feel like the color is very summerish, sunny. So I want to read it this summer. The next question is, what is the most anticipated release for the second half of 2024? Unfortunately, I'm not really a person who jumps onto new releases. I like reading books that already exist, unless if I'm influenced or if someone gifts me, like this was a birthday gift. So I don't really have an answer to that. I don't watch out for new releases. I think maybe that's also because I don't do series. I think that's more for people who read series. The next question is, what is the biggest disappointment in 2024? And for that, I have 3 books. The first one, I have A Spell of Good Things by Ayóbami Adébáyò. And this is a book that the book club that I'm in, Fundisani, we read it at the beginning of the year. And I was very disappointed by the book. I didn't connect to it. And I love Ayóbami Adébáyò's writing. I really, really enjoyed Stay With Me. So I think maybe that really affected me. Like the next book, I didn't connect with this. So I was disappointed by this. The other book that disappointed me this year, was The Havoc of Choice by Wanjiru Koinange. It was a book that we decided to read, Lily and I, as like a book by a Kenyan author to start. And it talks about the post-election violence that happened in 2007, 2008. And just because I was in Kenya at that time, I feel like the book was very shallowly written. It was like written collection of newspaper articles, and then they're all jammed into a book. I didn't like it, and I was a bit disappointed because I really wanted to love it because it's by a Kenyan writer, but that happens. Then the last disappointment that I have, actually I don't own it. I borrowed it from Lily. It's called Sankofa by Chibundu Onuzo. And this is a book that follows the story of a mixed race young woman who when her mother passes away, she discovers letters, communication between her mom and her dad, who was an African student in the UK, who she never met. So through these letters, she decides to go and try and look for her father, and it turns out that he's a dictator in an African country. I didn't love it. It was also a Reese Witherspoon book club's pick, so I think that's why it got so much traction. But for me, I don't know, I felt like it was terribly written. And for such an big and important name, Sankofa means we have to look into our past to learn more about our future, something like that. And I didn't like it. I was very disappointed by the book. Loved the cover, loved the idea behind it, but it wasn't well executed, in my opinion. So those are the 3 disappointing reads that I had in 2024, the first half. The next question is, which book is the biggest surprise? For me, that would be The 7 Months of Maali Almeida by Shehan Karunatilaka. This book, it was a tough read. I think I bought it back in 2022, 2 years ago, and I never read it. So then I realized that it had won the Booker Prize in 2022. So I said, Flo, pick it up and read it. And I struggled with it the first few pages, but when I shared that on TikTok, on Book Talk, people were like, keep on, don't give up. And I'm glad that I didn't, because it turned out to be a really good read. I think I gave it a 4-star on Goodreads. I have a review on it on Goodreads and also on my TikTok. And it follows the story of Maali Almeida, who was a war photographer. He was a gambler, a closet gay, and he's just passed away. And to move into the next world, he has to find there's bureaucracy in the dead people's world. So he needs to go through all these steps so his soul can be released into the other world. And in doing this, he's also trying to figure out who killed him, because he's been murdered. So it was an interesting book, and my first read by a Sri Lankan author. So I really, really enjoyed it. It really surprised me. The next question is, who is your favorite new author or debut book, or new to me? And that will be, I don't have the book, but it's Mirrianne Mahn, Issa by Mirrianne Mahn. I'll link the book here so you can see it. She's an Cameroonian-born German of Cameroonian descent, and this was her first book. She's actually a politician. She's a theater. How do you say it? She's an actress in the theater, and she also writes theater plays. So she's a playwright, yeah. And she's written an amazing book. I really, really love the book. It follows the story of Issa, who is Cameroonian, but she's pregnant, and her mom then dreams that she's going to die when she's giving birth. So she sends her back to Cameroon to go and do these rituals that pregnant women undergo. And as Issa is in Cameroon, she discovers her history, like 5 generations back. And now, she just sees what kind of life her ancestors led, as she's also discovering herself. I really, really enjoyed it. And the cover is beautiful. So that was one of my favorite. She's my favorite new author and debut book. Next question is, who is your favorite fictional crush? That has to be Josiah. Josiah is in Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I really, really enjoyed reading. It's a romance, a love story. Yeah, a love story, which is between Josiah and, what's her name? Dana? No, not Dana. What was her name? And Jasmine. Jasmine and Josiah. And they are a divorced couple who are co-parenting and who share business. And they divorced after a loss. So the story follows how they're interacting as they co-parent and still try to run their business and work through their loss and fall in love again and healing for the whole family. And I really, really love Josiah because he's a man who he tried to be strong for his family because that's what he knew. And, the way men always feel like they can't share, they can't cry, they can't show their fears. So that was what Josiah was doing, but he was hurting inside because the loss affected the whole family. But in his being a parent, he decided to go into therapy, to go for therapy and work through his issues. And the way he loved Jasmine, the way he loved his family, and just kept on being there for them and being there for Jasmine and always just praising her. I really, really enjoyed and loved how, his character. He had his weaknesses, but he worked hard to work on them and just be there for his family and provide and be there physically and emotionally. So I enjoyed. I would say Josiah is my fictional crush. Next question is the newest favorite character. I have one. That is Chirabo. Chirabo is she's the main character in The First Woman by Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi, another book that I really, really enjoyed, as you can see. Chirabo is a young girl, so it's a coming-of-age story of Chirabo, who is growing up in a small village in Uganda, in the early 1960s. And we follow her as in the quest of finding out whom her mother is, because she was brought up by her grandparents. And as she does that, we just follow her going through life. She's a feminist without even knowing what feminism is. So the book has a way of showing us that, the white people did not tell us what feminism was. In Africa, we practice feminism, and Chirabo does it so well, questioning everything. She just doesn't accept status quo. If you tell her this is how we've been doing things, she's like, no. Why? And why don't we try something else? And even in her relationships, as she falls in love and she has her heart broken, you see how she heals, and but also she doesn't ignore. She actually says, or she shows that she is hurt and she is in pain, and she works through it. And even in how her relationship is with her family, her grandparents, her father, her estranged father, a stepmother. I really, really loved the character that is Chirabo. Next is which book, the book that made you cry? That will have to be The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak. Oh, I really, really love this book. I mean, I love all books written by Elif Shafak, but this really got me because there's a part where because it's a book, the main character is a fig tree. So there's a part where this fig tree talks about being transported from where he originally is from to the UK. And at first, because he was put in a suitcase, and at first I thought it was a human being, And later I discovered it was a fig tree. But it's an emotional book where he talks about, he narrates, because he's a fig tree, there's this belief that trees, they understand because they've existed for such a long time. So they know or they witness everything that goes on around. They hear, they feel. So he talks about everything that happens in this town that in the beginning were two communities existed in this town, the Greek and the Turkish people. But then there was a war broke out and they became enemies. So there were a lot of crimes, a lot of killings, a lot of abandoning that happened. So, and the fig tree narrates all this because it saw what happened. It made me cry. But a really, really awesome book. A book that made you happy. That will be American Royalty by, what's her name? Let me see. I have it somewhere. What was the name? It's called, I have it on my phone because I don't have the physical copy. It's called American Royalty by Tracy Livesay. And this is a fluffy book. I needed a fluffy book after reading a really heavy book. And it's a love story, a romance book between a prince. I think it's based on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, but it's between a prince and a rapper, a black woman who is a rapper. And it had some really funny banter between them that I really, really enjoyed. And it was the perfect fluffy book that I needed after a traumatizing book. So that's one of it's a book that made me happy. The most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received? I have two, actually. I have one. This is Drinking from Graveyard Wells, Stories by Yvette, Liz and Ndlovu. And she is a Zimbabwean author who lives in the US, I believe. And I love the cover, so have a look. It's a collection of short stories, and it's very fantasy. Yeah, I think. Yeah, fantasy. Yeah, I would categorize it as a fantasy book, something like that. Yeah, magical collection. It's magical, but I loved the cover. And the second book, which is also, it's actually YA. I bought it for my daughter, but I don't think she'll read it, so I will read it instead. This is Kinder des Treibsands by Efua Traoré. And I really, really love the cover. I haven't read it yet, but I'm looking forward to reading it. And the next question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? That will be a long list. I think that will be a video on itself. But really, do I have books that I think I'm a mood reader, so I'm very flexible in my choices of books. So I think it won't be fair for me to answer this question. But maybe if you watch my TBR list, I think I'll do one for July and share it. So maybe you can have a look at that. And then bonus, most read author of 2024. I think my most read author is Jamaica Kincaid. Yeah, because I've read 2 of her books. And I have another one planning on reading, which is called My Brother. I have it I got the German version. Yeah. So Jamaica Kincaid is an author that I have, I've read this more from this half year. Yeah, so that is the mid-year book freakout tag. And it's just nice to look back on some of the books that have made an impact on me in the first half of the year. And I'm looking forward to what the second half has to offer. I've enjoyed a lot of the books that I've read, and I've also enjoyed sharing with you and also getting recommendations from you. And that's all I have for today. I wish you all a lovely evening or whatever time you are, where you are. And I will try and list the books that I've mentioned. And let me know if there are some that you are interested in or that you've also read. What are your thoughts on them? Which were your favorite books? And if you have a YouTube channel, please do the tag and tag me so I can also watch your video. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, and hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Thank you and bye.